Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to call this meeting to order. Might turn that mic down just a hair. We want to welcome all of our guests. I'd like to declare that we do have a quorum. Mr. Heverly, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, gentlemen, item number 4 on our agenda, discussion possible action on renewal of any item from the consent agenda. If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve consent agenda.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Moody,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Mendiola,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes. Item 7, this is a really kind of a cool deal that we're going to do tonight. We're thankful to have all these people here, have the spectators here. We're going to do a presentation of the Oklahoma Municipal League is really good about helping us recognize folks who have longevity of service. And so we're going to recognize some special people this evening. We're going to give them all a certificate. We're also going to give them a really cool little pin that they can wear from the Municipal League. So, Mr. Heverly, we're going to get started, and I'll help you hand out certificates.
Yeah, okay, so first up is Keith Miller. So Keith's been with the city. I'm going to talk about him like I've been here the entire time. Keith's been here for well over 25, or going on just over 25 years. Started off in October, and yes, I'm cheating, but October of 2000. So he's actually 25, and we're right on, sort of, give or take. But Keith, where did you start out? Started out as a building inspector, and now is our community development community development director. So he gets all the garbage tasks and all the hey you tasks, and Keith, I tell you, is he's a give me more kind of guy. Just takes it and keeps going. Really setting the community up for success, forward thinking, and continues, even though you could say he's at the twilight of his career, is continuing to push hard, and I appreciate it every day. So with that, as a token of,
Let's do all of it. Let's take a picture one time, if you don't mind. We'll do them all together. But we do have a certificate.
okay, next up is Chief Anthony Armstrong. So Chief's been the fire chief for going on 15 centuries, and has been fighting fire since he was a little kid. Chief, how long have you actually been chief?
About 17 years.
17 years. So I was off by not much. So for 17 years, Chief has been fighting fires as a fire chief, and before that, it was a long time. 1996 is what this little piece of paper has.
Yeah.
So this is a catch-up award. We're a little late on that. Nobody do math for me, please. So we're a little late on that, but we're catching up. But Chief is he continues to grind, and he's, for most of y'all know, he's actually finally, depends on your point of view, retiring in February 1st of next year. End of an era, definitely, in Sallisaw. He is definitely left it a better place than he found it, and continues to keep us and the rest of the community safe. So Chief.
Yeah, I did. Thank you.
Okay. Next up, Ricky Randolph. Is Ricky here?
Yep, he's here.
Ricky? I thought I saw you sneak in the back there, sir. This is another catch-up. Randy's been fighting fires with us since 1989. Rick Randolph. Been fighting fires with us since 1989. So yes, before some of us were born. Not me. I'm still older than you. They're still older than the service. So again, these with Chief and Ricky and the next one, I mean, they're the backbone of our fire department. Yeah. And have been around for continuity's sake, have been around for decades. I will make you feel old. Have been around for decades, and the town is living proof, standing proof. And buildings have been saved because of these guys' hard work. Property's been saved, lives have been saved because of these guys' hard work. So we continue to thank you, and I think a very small token of our appreciation. Thank you. And finally, Mike Fulbright, a mere child coming in at 1992 compared to these other guys. But again, Mike's been serving, like I said, been serving with us since 1992. Again, foundation, somebody you can rely on, especially when it comes to volunteers. You know, volunteers, in some fire departments, the guys get in, they wear that title and they're proud of it, and they never put their turnout gear on once. And Mike is not that guy. So our guys, and Mike is a shining example of, hey, show up, the call goes out, and if they are physically able to be there, they will be. And I tell you, there are very few times that I don't want to be a firefighter. But I'll tell you, standing out in 90-degree heat on a traffic accident in full turnout gear is one of those times I do not want to be a firefighter. And these guys were out there with smiles on. Thank you, sir. And I'll get everybody else. Yep. And truly, finally, but absolutely not least, because I still have to work with her, Kim Jameson has been with the city since 2000 in a wide variety of roles and responsibilities. And now her job is probably the toughest she's ever had, is to the city clerk and the city treasurer, but also she keeps me straight. And Mayor, and that might be a bigger task. But between she and Lisa, I teased everybody, Lisa was limping around last week, and I told her because she broke her foot off of my rear end. But Kim was right there telling her where to kick me and how hard and everything else. She just didn't pay attention, got hurt. But Kim is truly a gift, not only to me, but to the city. A lot of folks don't see what she does. A lot of folks hear what she does because they call her and they talk with her. And I can tell you there's a lot of professionalism that goes on in our office, dealing with some stuff that she shouldn't have to deal with. So thank you.
And I want to comment too on that gracious attitude, gracious to all the people, just gracious to me, gracious to city council. She's just a fine lady, and we really do appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, Kim.
Robin, do you? He's this way, guys.
Don't be afraid of each other.
Any family wants to take photos, jump right up here. Don't be bashful.
Hey, Mayor, if I could take a little liberty, if anybody has family that wants to come up and take a picture with their employee, now's the time to do it. We'll get it up front with everybody here. If anybody wants to come up, we can do that now.
We got time. You want to hurry?
Everyone hold your peace.
All right.
You can get it out. Next, I'm gonna ask Commissioner Poncho to read off and, no? We're not gonna-
No,
Nope, my bad.
we're gonna do Mike next.
Sorry.
I'm not yet.
Yep,
Do Mike next.
Mike, is your time?
Anthony, you want to come help us with this?
Yeah.
Anthony, you want to come help us with this?
Brad, Mike Fulbright, do come up. So on top of being almost a decade late and recognizing his 25 years, Mike has finally got real mad at us and said, fine, I'm just gonna retire. But I'm kidding. But after 33 years of service, Mike's gonna move on to greener pastures, and let the younger men do the heavy lifting, literally, sometimes. But with that, Mr. Mayor, I'll let you present that to him. But it, again, in recognition of his 33 years of service, just a piece of paper that represents a lot of thanks and a lot of gratitude from the city and the city staff. Better.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now I'm gonna ask Commissioner Poncho Mendiola to come up and read a narrative. And if I could, Mr. Patton, if you would come up, please. Yep, your turn, sir. rest of the family too, because I know it takes more than this young man to accomplish what he's done. Come on, Steve. Ladies, y'all want,
You're good, dude. Good.
ladies, anybody else want to come up? Come on. You want to come up? Come on up.
Yep.
So, was it 2018? Was it 2020? Kim, do you remember when we did the
2019.
2019? Mr. Paget, Dewey Paget was awarded a day, by proclamation. And that was in recognition of his personal service and his personal, contributions to the city. Tonight, what we want to do is we want to recognize 66 years of being in business in the city of Sallisaw. So for those who have run small businesses, for those who have, tried to start a business, try to start multiple businesses, this man is a shining example and a pillar of the community for having established a business that has made it 66 years. And before we read this, we're gonna let this young lady come on up here. Come on, man. And Mr. Mignola, if you read.
All right. I'll try to do this without crying. This is pretty good. Paget's Barber Shop has been a cornerstone of Southside community since its founding on August 3rd, 1959. For 41 years, the shop is located at its original location at 219 North Oak. The shop has always remained on Oak Street and now operates at 202 North Oak. This enduring presence has made its familiar and trusted establishment for generations. A true family business, Paget's Barber Shop has seen all three Pagets, sons, Rick, Steve, and Aaron, join him in the craft of barbering. Their collective dedication has created a warm and welcome environment for customers over the decades. At one point, another local barber even joined their team after his own shop was lost to fire, further demonstrating the shop's community spirit. The shop has witnessed countless milestones, including many first haircuts for children in the area. One of the most remarkable achievements for Dewey was a record-setting day with 182 haircuts, a testament to the trust and loyalty of the community. It is estimated that Dewey alone has performed over 500,000 haircuts during the span of 66 years. As Paget's Barber Shop celebrates 66 years of service, it stands as a symbol of tradition, family, and community pride.
Today, we're gonna have, another presentation here. We got a certificate that we want you to hang up in the shop so you can brag about it, okay? And I know you'll tell everybody about it too, won't you, when they come in? Absolutely. You bet. So we want a small certificate, we got you a swag bag, I'm gonna give this to Steve. All right. He can sign it all up, but we appreciate you and appreciate your family and what you've done for this community. Would you like to say a word?
I'm gonna tell one on. Back years ago, they put numbers on the back of their head. And so this boy came in and it was Shaken Bush's boy. He's redheaded and his skin was real white. And Steve, he said, I want a number 2. Well, Steve gave him a good haircut and put him a nice number 2. Now his white skin showed up really good, you know. And so when he got through, he said, what color you want? And he said, what do you mean? He said, well, we usually color them a school color or whatever. And he said, well, what I wanted was a number 2 blade. It's been a pleasure to work with my son. I appreciate all of you.
Thank you, sir.
That's awesome. 66 years. I think you could do it.
No.
It's tough. Same thing. Good for you.
When I successfully complete one New Year's resolution, then I might. We gotta get through that first.
You all are welcome to stay, welcome to leave. We're gonna be quite lengthy tonight. We got a lot of business to take care of, so you're not gonna hurt our feelings if you decide you wanna take off and go and do some other things. So, but we appreciate all of you being here this evening. Thank you so much. Item 10, discussion possible action on staff's request to reinvest the general fund certificate deposit with a local bank for 245 days at a 4.09% interest.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Mendiola,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes. Item 11, receive presentation of fiscal year 2025 audit from Jana Walker, CPA, PLLC, and discussion of possible exception of the audit. Acceptance of the audit.
All right. Nothing like an audit report to clear the room. I think everyone should have a copy in front of you. And we still have this as draft, just to go through it tonight. We've tied out the numbers, don't expect any big changes, a couple little formatting and things like that that will get cleaned up before we get you a final copy. But we wanted to go ahead and get this presented before the end of the year so we can get you guys wrapped up. On page 1, we'll start there, the auditor's opinion. And so we believe this is an unqualified opinion, which that's what you want, saying that we don't have any material modifications that we believe will be present in the final audit report here. The next couple paragraphs just go over your responsibility as management, my responsibility as the auditor, and that finishes out on page 2. At the bottom of page 2, we have some other required supplementary information, and then also the single audit report that is included with this because you had more than the threshold with all the federal funds that you expend, that we also had the single audit to go with this. That's those last couple paragraphs. And then on page 3 rounds out the internal control report that we'll reference at the end as well. On page 4, that's the management discussion and analysis. And so we have just the financial highlights and really a good overview on how all of these financial statements work together. I always say in the governmental financial report, it's presented the same information about 3 different ways, just so every user gets what they want pulled out of it. And that's what a lot of those paragraphs just explain. If you haven't looked at a full set of governmental financial statements, that's helpful, but I won't read those all through you. But at the end of the day, the bottom line, your net position was just a little over 30 million. And so we'll go through the differences between last year, this year. The big thing this year was how that bond that you issued and flowed through and the debt that came on with that. And so that was really the big change on why that net position decreased with how that bond was issued and then getting that going in this fiscal year. And that was kind of the big thing or the big change from what you saw in the prior year. If we keep going on page 6, we will have some updates on as we finish the draft, the actual financial statements. This is the management discussion and analysis. So I already got with Robin that we'll have a couple updates on this column with the business type activity comparison. But that's always a good reference point as well if you want to go through there in your final copy as you review it and take this back as far as just seeing where you were this year to last year. And like I said, that big swing was that transfer out on the bond and how that got all passed through as far as the bottom line net position goes. On page 7, that's going to be your summary of your revenues and expenses for the year. And I'll reference the actual financial statements for this, but this is where you'll see some of those changes and those transfers to other government at the bottom. Like I said, that was the biggest impact this year comparing to last year of what something new was that you typically don't have as far as how those transferred out. On page 8, that just gives you an idea of what constitutes what. This is pretty typical with what you guys have. Just depending a lot each year what you get for those grants and the revenues that come through this year. The biggest thing was you had expended those ARPA funds on a project. And so that kind of through this fiscal year revenue sources a little bit more than your sales taxes compared to last year. And then I think a little bit of that ARPA was left over for this year that or FY26 that you filled out, but almost 500,000 was expended on that ARPA that you usually didn't have with all of your other regular grants. That just kind of skewed that a little bit. And the uses of funds were still consistent with your prior year. On page 9, we talk about the business type activities. My general reminder is always, with the revenue line gonna be on that top line is, self-supporting, they're supposed to be self-supporting and those type of things to take care of what you need as far as all the different revenue, services that you do provide. On page 10, that's gonna be a summary of your capital and assets and your long-term liabilities coming on. And so that's where you're gonna have those revenues, bonds, the notes payable, and then your net pension liability. That always swings a lot from one year to the next, but a full GASB report on an accrual basis always has that net pension liability brought in. That's not necessarily something you'll take care of tomorrow, but it's there, it's disclosed as far as the actuarial assumptions that we rely on, and that actuarial report on all the pensions that you participate in. So sometimes that's a bigger swinging number each from year to year. But on page 12, that starts your actual financial statements as far as the governmental business type activities. This is the first presentation of the financial statement, government-wide coming together. And here's where you can see where you start off with your assets, your cash. The unrestricted portion of your cash at 6/30/2025 was 8.4 million. And then it moves down into some other investments you have, the receivables, and then your restricted cash was approximately 12 million. Your capital assets, 58, to have a total assets of just shy of 86 million. And then it moves on down to your liabilities and your claims on those assets. So at the very bottom, you get balanced out to what your net position was, and that 30 million. That's restricted in your business type activities. That's with how the bond came on and what that liability is still showing, and just the restricted cash that you're still holding. And that's why that's going the other way this year, that you typically don't see with how that bond is being reported on there for the hospital that got passed through. On page 13, that's your revenues and your expenses statement of activities, government-wide again. So this shows everything together, the gross numbers on an accrual basis. For starting off with your governmental activities, moving down to your business type activities, and then getting down into your general revenues like sales tax. Your sales tax for this year was 8.1 million. And then the other taxes, 1.6, a large portion of that being your use tax. And then it moves down into those transfers that transfer out to the other government before reconciling that 30 million in that net position. On page 14, that's going to start your individual fund financial statements on a modified cash basis. So like I said, it presents the same information a lot of different ways that all reconciles back to those first two statements. But your general fund, and then I'll point out where if you want to see the detail on all your other individual funds, those are going to be at the back that I'll point out as well, that total, that other governmental fund. But this splits out just your general fund, first starting off with your cash, your assets and your liabilities. And then at the very bottom, that's your reconciliation to the very front, because we split out the long-term assets on this presentation for your governmental funds, but it all reconciles back to that government-wide. Before going to page 15, the same thing, we'll start with your general fund and other governmental funds, where you can see what was specifically allocated to those funds, like your sales tax has a lot of different allocations, but you can see there your sales tax revenue with a little over 2 million being allocated to general. Then you had your other governmental funds that also got allocated to out of your entire $8 million collection. And then your expenditures and your transfers before getting to the fund balance. And then on page 16, that's where it reconciles that net change back to the government wide as well. On page 17, that's where it switches focus to the business type activities. So all your proprietary funds, once again, reconciles. This is the same presentation basis, so it reconciles back to that first column on the government-wide financial statements, but this just splits out so you can see the municipal authority and the economic authorities separately. First starting off with your cash and that restriction, and then working on down to your liabilities. That bond payable, that's what came on this year as far as the current portion, 185, and then the non-current portion, the 11.8 million. And then on page 18, that is your revenue, expenditures, and changes split out between both of those funds that also tie right back to that government-wide financial statement that we first looked at. On page 19, that's going to be your first statement of cash flows that none of the other financial statements have. So you can see the actual cash in, cash out. You have a lot wrapped up in capital assets. And so this splits out, takes out that depreciation, non-cash expense, and some of those things. One thing we always just want to make sure is that net cash provided by your operating activities on that municipality authority provides enough, not just to cover its self-service as it's intended to, but also that reinvestment in what you have to have as far as keeping up with your infrastructure and those type of things as well. It takes a lot to keep the city's infrastructure intact and repaired, and so that's one item that kind of to look at or keep on top of as far as what is the actual cash provided by those as you assess rates and rates into the future and how you do those. Page 20, that's going to start your notes to the financial statement. So this really just supplements everything we talked about as far as how anything was presented or accounted for, or a little bit more information. I'll point out some highlights. I won't go down every single page or anything. And if you have questions, a lot of that information is going to be here. On page 27, though, that's where it adds just a little bit more information about your capital assets. Like I said, that's a big chunk of what you guys manage and have there as far as the city's infrastructure goes. And it finishes out on page 18. And so in that government-wide financial statements, as far as when you're looking at the numbers, here's where that non-cash expense, that depreciation expense numbers between your governmental and business type activities just provides you a little bit more context on some of those departments where it got charged as far as that non-cash expense. And then on page 29, that goes to your long-term liabilities. And so that's always a good note disclosure that just provides you a lot more information about where you're at on your notes, what the rates are on those notes, how those are going to amortize off, and finishes on page 30 as well. That just gives you a little bit more reference point with all those liabilities that you have on the face of your financial statement. And then it finishes on page 31 with what's due each year, the increases, decreases that you had in the current year, and what came on your books. And then also on page 32, what you're expected to amortize out over the next several years and your yearly obligation between both of those. So that's always helps just understand a little bit more about what's being reported and a good note to reference with what you have going on. The next several pages, I referenced that net pension schedule. Those are going to go and provide you those actuarial assumptions, what discount rates and those type of things that you have that are also included. So that's always a note disclosure that helps give a little bit more context to some of those numbers that show up on the very face of your financial statement as a reference point on. But we'll go ahead and go to page 46, your budgetary comparison schedule. So nothing was overspent. So I always just reference that to make sure while you're in this fiscal year, anything be budget conscious and make sure any revisions that need to get made before the end of the year, so that can stay in compliance. But on page 50, those are going to be your non-major governmental financial statements. I won't go through each individual one of them, but if you wanted to drill down into all the individual non-major governmental funds as you review this and look through this, that's where you're going to find the individual fund financial information for each of those that was just combined in the one column with the general fund. Here is that information split out for you, both the statement of net position and your revenue and expenditures. And we will go to page 58, though, to round out the report and what we have for you. And so This is going to be first your report on internal controls, and then also right behind it is going to be the report on compliance for your major programs. And so I'll talk about those both together. And then right after that's going to be your schedule of expenditures on federal awards, that you can see some of the details with what you had coming in and out for the year. So we didn't find any compliance issues, so that's what you want to hear, that we didn't identify anything that we thought was misspent or questionable cost or anything like that. That's what they want to know with, when they give you federal dollars, are you going to spend it right? And so that's why we have to do that extra report with, and file it with the Federal Audit Clearinghouse and those type of things. So it's great to get the funds, but when you get that many, they always ask you to do a little bit more to make sure that you do stay in compliance. So we didn't identify anything in those reports that we felt rose to a level of material weakness or significant efficiency, but you know, your presentations earlier, probably a testament to staff that's been here and does a good job and knows what's going on, that can keep that clean for you as well. So that's great to see, and keep that clean so you don't have any issues with the federal dollars that you have. But my disclaimer always is, just because we didn't have it this year doesn't mean you can relax. It's a every year, day-to-day conversation that you have to keep your internal controls in place and make sure everyone's keeping up with that. So are there any questions? It was a lot at once.
Thank you.
I understand. But we'll, Robin knows how to get a hold of me. Like I said, we had a few little changes to the draft that we we're gonna make before we actually file it with the state auditor, Federal Audit Clearinghouses, to make sure those get updated. But big picture and story, wanted to go ahead and hit this council meeting, so I didn't have to ask you to come back on Christmas Eve.
And just to be clear, the numbers aren't gonna change.
No.
We're changing some descriptions.
Footnotes and yeah. So we got the numbers and those things tied out, so just had to, you know, on 80 pages, go through it a couple times.
Well, thank you very much.
All right.
Any quick comments? So if this is a draft, do we need to have a motion to accept the audit, or do we wait and do that later?
We need to, I'm tracking, we need to accept this audit as is.
Okay.
Or like she said, come back Christmas Eve and do it then.
Okay,
It's gotta be
that's fine.
accepted.
That's what I
by-
want to make sure we're on the same page
Yeah,
here.
no, we've already identified what those are, and so,
Okay.
and have talked about them, so.
Looks good. Have to have a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion.
A second?
Moody,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Mendiola,
Yes.
Martins.
Yes. Item 12, discussion possible action on agreement for library services, facilities, and maintenance of 2025-2026 between the Eastern Oklahoma Library System with respect to the Stanley Tubbs Memorial Library and the city of Sallisaw.
So gentlemen, this is an agreement that EOLS is formalizing. We could not find one between the city and any other library organization in the past period. So this is them formalizing an agreement with us. I've met with the representative from the eastern region, and it's fairly typical for what they're getting at. Reviewed it, and it's nothing more than we're already doing. You saw a copy in your packet. They asked to make sure that they're included in financial statements and things of that nature, and the fact that we budget for them and our current processes fulfill that requirement. And the rest of it is all, facility maintenance and division of labor between the city and the EOLS as far as who is responsible for what. And we are actually working with them and the Friends of the Library for new carpet in there in the spring. But they own all the books and all the library equipment. If the building leaks, that's our fault, and we got to fix it.
Motion?
Make a motion to accept the agreement with library service facility and maintenance 2025 between Eastern Oklahoma Library System with respect to Stanley Tubbs Memorial Library and the city of Sallisaw.
Second.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Mendiola,
Yes.
Martins.
Yes. Item 13, discussion and possible action on resolution number 2025-18, which is a resolution to increase the salary of the elected chief of police of the city of Sallisaw, Oklahoma.
So as I've talked to all of you about this individually, the current salary for the police chief is $84,000 and some change. 3 years ago, when you approved the salary increase, it was $80,000. It's increased to $84,000 based off of the cost of living adjustments that have occurred over the past 3 years. That number of 84 is less than the most a lieutenant can make on the current pay scale. It is my proposition that the police chief should be compensated at least evenly with his captains. If not, there's no incentive for the fine officers that we have to continue service past captain. If you're talking about being a captain and having to take a pay cut to be the police chief. So that's all we're here to talk about is a possibility of raising the chief's pay. Couple of ideas that have been thrown out as a sliding scale over the next 3 years, or to bite the bullet and go ahead and pick a number, settle on a number in the 105 to 110 range. And that would put him just above what a senior captain could top out at. As just for background, in case this is new to you, you are by charter tasked to set the police chief's pay scale, and that is set for the term of their election, for their term, and it has to be installed prior to the beginning of their first term, which is April. So while we don't have to have a decision on it tonight, I'd at least like to start the conversation tonight.
You remember years ago, gentlemen, Josh, I don't know if you were on the council at the time when we first addressed this, the salary was dismal, and we've been working it up. We've been working it upward over the past, 5, 6 years. We've been trying to get it up there. You two weren't here at the time, but we've been working on this for several years to try to bring this up, because it was pretty dismal salary there for a long, long time. And I think we've made good progress, but the only way we're gonna attract good quality candidates is make sure that we have a good salary on that position. I feel.
Well, as I expressed to Brian, I don't see the point in a sliding scale. I think if we determine that that pay is inadequate, then we need to take action on it immediately and solve it. Also, there's an argument to be made that the chief of police would be at the top of the totem pole, so to speak, in hierarchy of that department. So it stands to reason that the pay scale should be reflective of that. And the fact that it isn't is an obvious issue, in my opinion. So now 100 or 110, couldn't care less, really.
Those were just, sir, honestly, those were just numbers. The senior captain would doesn't top out yet, but the pay scale tops out at $100,200 and some change, I think.
Could.
Yes.
Could, right.
Before they top out, for longevity and everything else, their top pay bracket, pay step is $100,200 and some change.
I wouldn't be opposed to entertaining that 100,000 one, honestly.
Comments?
So some of the procedures I've seen in this state and others is that there's an automatic pay raise where it's set that it's a 2% above whatever the union negotiates. So it's automatic as it goes through the term. We weren't sure that we can do that because of the way our charter is written. You have to set it for the term, and it's not necessarily the way it's written. It's not necessarily based on the union negotiations. So we do need to set it here for the term prior to the next chief taking the reins. And again, I apologize. One of the other outcomes, like the mayor said, one of the other outcomes of raising the salary is potentially raising the pool of applicants. And it is my fault. We're about 30 to 60 days behind the power curve having this discussion to attract potentially, I can't prove a negative, but I can't tell you what the applicant pool would have been had we increased it beforehand.
And that's
Right.
not speaking.
And that's not a big deal.
anything About.
Yeah.
The necessarily the individuals.
Absolutely not.
Running now.
Absolutely not.
It's a statement of fact.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I feel like we do need to fix it. I'm just not, like, I'm not sure, I was coming in tonight thinking a sliding scale, 90, 95, 100 over the next 3 years, just to kind of start building it up, but, it still needs to be fixed either way.
Yeah.
I'm not against it at all, but we didn't budget for this.
So we would make up for it in what we call pay lag. So the empty positions that we had earlier in the year, that pay was allocated for those positions. That's the money we would use to make up the difference. And remember, this wouldn't go into effect until April, so you're only talking about 3 months difference.
And that's common practice, that's been done before, and it's not illegal, it's just common practice, and the money is allocated for salaries, so they can just move it over.
Sure.
If they want to, and it's been done before here in the city, so.
And I'm not gonna put Robin on the spot to talk specifics or dollar amounts and things of that nature, but generally, that's how we would do it.
I think my biggest concern is the chief oversees how many employees?
23 sworn officers.
Okay. Our fire chief oversees how many employees? 20, 30,
So 20,
20?
help me out here.
19.
18? It's 20 total.
20 total? So. Okay. The problem that I have is that, the police chief, no offense to Terry or whoever the incoming police chief is, I don't see them doing more than what the fire chief does. Anthony has to, and I'm not saying Anthony because he's retiring, I'm just throwing him out there, but, the chief has to respond to every house call, every medical call, every fire. I don't really know what Terry responds to, if he responds after hours, unless it's a major event. Does he, I don't really know what he gets called out for, where the fire chief pretty much he's at every one of them, every medical call. And we've seen how many medical calls they have right there. And then two, the chief doesn't have disciplinary action, right? He can't discipline anybody without you.
Correct. I'm the final signature on it, but he is absolutely, especially since I'm here, he'll be involved in the process.
Okay.
And I'm working to get him more involved in evaluations, things of that nature that he hasn't been by process beforehand.
Okay. So, just, and maybe some of it's part of that, I just don't know exactly what all Terry did as police chief. I see you lieutenants, I see your captains scheduling, whatever, going out, they're in the field, they're this and that, they're at calls. The police chief, without being able to actually to do his complete job is where I have the problem. And I know there's not a way to fix that without changing the city charter. So that's a whole nother category on there.
So the difference between the chiefs is the fire chief is a city employee. And I'll tell you, there is a significant disparity on what the chief currently gets paid and what that position is worth. Especially like we talked during the budget retreat about, do we want to transition to a full-time department? Because if we do, then those salaries need to be commensurate, and probably a lot more even than they are now.
Right.
Our fire chief is he's paid significantly less than the police chief. Part of that is because the police chief's responsible for those 23 individuals full-time, and the fire chief is arguably not responsible for those 20 folks unless they're deployed. And very rarely are all 20 of them deployed. Now, that doesn't change the fact that he's still responsible for all their training, all the equipment, et cetera, that they're riding on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it is a matter of that there's significant room for the fire chief to be improved as well. And that's part of next year. You'll see a proposed pay bump in him as part of the rest of the city employees. But again, we have to vote on the police chief. So I'm saying, I absolutely agree with you.
Right.
That the fire chief is, in my position, in my opinion, that position is woefully underpaid, where the police chief is still underpaid.
So he is 84,000 right now.
Yes, sir.
What is his total with benefits? What are we at? Because if
So,
we take him up to 100,000, then we're gonna take
so
him,
in general, the benefits are about 40% of the salary. Ish, 38, 37, but it's about 40%. So you're looking at another $30,000 is the value of what he get. The total salaries and benefits is about $110,000 right now. So if we bump him up, it'll be another 40% would be what the salaries and benefits are. Now, he does or does not participate in he does participate in our retirement. Excuse me, but the city retirement, not the police retirement.
you don't do the police one.
So if we were to go to 110, 40% over that would be couple thousand dollars. So he'd cost us 150 instead of the 110 that he's costing us now.
And I agree with you, but this, like he's saying, this is an issue that has to be decided separately, and I think we probably should address that at the next budget hearing as far as what that salary is gonna look like. But we have, it's two different,
Right.
apples and oranges is what it is. So
Well, that's my biggest thing is, I have to I look at it all, as every single person and what their responsibilities are.
I don't
and-
disagree with you. I don't disagree with you at all,
So,
but we have to do that a different way than what we're doing tonight.
He's not asking for a vote tonight.
We can absolutely
They
table it.
can.
We
We
can.
can table it,
Yeah,
we can
that's
vote
up to
it, we
y'all.
can table it. We
Yeah,
can do
that's up to
whatever
y'all.
tonight, Josh.
I know where I'm at. So that'll be up to the rest of you guys.
You wanna vote on it, you wanna
The
table it?
proper way to do it is someone make a motion and a second, and if that passes, it passes, fails, it fails. I mean, that's the way we do it.
If we table it, where we going with it?
I think, Pancho brings up a pretty good point with the fire chief, but
But don't let that, don't let that,
no, it doesn't negate by any means the fact that the police chief is underpaid. And if anything, that kind of highlights just how maybe terrible the fire chief is paid. So if we approve this for this, next term, can we use that as a foundation to justify correcting the fire chiefs?
And keep in mind too, the decision you make on this police chief is fixed for 3 years.
yeah.
So we're not addressing this again for the next 3 years.
By charter, it has to be.
by
that
charter.
way.
So,
Once it goes in effect.
yeah, so my short-term plan is to absolutely address the fire chief in the presentation to you for next fiscal year. And the next fiscal year, the fire chief's salary would be adjusted as well. But we have to make a decision on the police chief, obviously prior to that. And the decision you make on the police chief will be fixed for the next 3 years, quote unquote fixed.
And I set up Saturday morning early, scouring the web, trying to figure it out. And I'll say that, if you Google what's the salary for a town of 8,500 for a police chief, it comes back anywhere from 90 to 110. Some of them are crazy up there, 200,000. I couldn't find anything to give me a straight detail,
Good.
because I think like he'd even brought up Sallisaw, like Sallisaw police chief makes 120 something thousand. I don't know if that's with benefits, so I don't know what I'm looking at online is what they're counting with benefits or without counting with benefits. It doesn't tell you that. So just keep that in mind.
It had, because we found that number, I found that number again this morning when I looked, and it was like ERI says that he makes 133.
Yeah.
And that if that number, if they claim that number is accurate, it has to be with all the salaries and benefits.
Right, and
It
that's,
has to be.
you know, and then so that, you know, then you look at, so is the number
It's
that they're
even high.
telling me that the 8,500 towns are making 90 to 110, 120, you know, is that
It's,
with benefits or without benefits? I don't know.
you don't really compare apples to apples.
Yes.
And that's absolutely valid. The bottom line for me, do you want to have a police chief that makes less than his officers?
If you want.
And that's really where we're
I'll
at.
second.
And like I say, Mr. Everett, we've been trying to correct this for
Yep.
several years. It's just been something that's been working. I'm good with 100,000.
I think whatever we do tonight sets a precedent for where we're at on this, and I'd be willing to make a motion at 100,000. Make a motion for 100,000, change it to 100,000.
I second.
Moody,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes,
Mendiola,
No.
Martins.
Yes. Thank you all for working on that. All right, item 14, discussion possible action on contract for engineering services in the amount of $45,600 between the city of Southall and Neil Harwell and Associates, PC, for the sidewalk improvement between the Ruth Street, Kerr Boulevard to Cedar Streets, including the revised cost estimate.
Okay, so there are two sidewalk projects that we are working on right now. We're working on a sidewalk project, and each has its own funding. We're working on a sidewalk project from Redbird Estates down JT Stites, when I say down, south on JT Stites to the high school, and then heading east on Ruth as far as that money will go. We're doing that in partnership with not only the school, but also the Cherokee Nation. That is not what we're talking about here. This is engineering for what I'm calling the city phase of the project, which is from 59 Kerr to Iola. And that would put a sidewalk in front of Walmart, in front of the Pizza Hut shopping center, in front of the bank there, and the correct crosswalk technology that needs to go on 59. This number that you see here is reflective of the entire contract, reflective of the entire project, pending award of the grant. And it would be a no matching fund grant. So this would actually, I don't have my economic development folks here, but I believe this is going to be covered by the cost of the grant as well, pending award of the grant. But because it's the contract, we have to do the engineering portion of it first. A small portion of that contract will be paid regardless of whether or not the grant is given, because the gentleman is doing the work. What I don't have, I'm not prepared, I know it's in the document, but it would be the initial engineering fee would be what we owe him regardless of whether or not we get the grant or not. But we do not owe him all $45,000 unless the grant is awarded, in which case it would come out of the grant money regardless. But those are the two significant sidewalk projects that we're working on right now. And that would give us, if both are approved, that would give us a continuous sidewalk. You could walk from the food court right there on Iola and Cedar. You could walk from that food court all the way to Redbird Estates on a sidewalk. So that's what this is for.
We're talking about the preliminary engineering. fee,
Yes.
or That's
2,500.
4,500,
2,500, yeah,
45.
4,500. So that we would owe him regardless of whether or not regardless of whether or not the project's completed or awarded, because we will have something to have on the shelf to continue pushing for the grant next year.
Make a motion, we approve the engineering contract and revised cost estimate.
second,
Mendiola,
Yes.
Bailey,
yes,
Moody,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Martins.
Yes. Item 15, conduct public hearing to determine if the property located at 703 South Oak Street is a public nuisance, case number 12-25-1C, condemnation of dilapidated structure. I'll go ahead and open the public hearing at this time.
Okay, this property located at 703 South Oak is owned by Bertha Mitchell of Fort Smith, Arkansas. She is present here tonight. This property is being used by her grandson, who has a camper set up on it. It's being used as a primary residence. There are no active utilities, including running water, on the property. which raises questions of an hygienic and a sanitary nature. Views from the street have revealed that the entire back end of the camper is missing, which revealed exposed framing, and the framing of the sidewalls could be seen from the street. This, coupled with the fact that the back end is covered only with tarp or plastic, leaves concerns of not only structural stability, but protection from extreme elements of weather. Concerns and complaints have been made from the residents in the area. These, as well as ordinance, building, and zoning violations, which have been brought to the attention of both Miss Mitchell and her grandson, the occupant, with no progress being made to remedy as of yet. The questionable structural integrity, unhygienic nature of the situation, and large amounts of debris and uncared for items collected on the property has caused the Office of Community Development to have concerns for the citizens of the community and request that this be declared as a nuisance and order its abatement. And it's open for questions, gentlemen.
Any other comments from anyone?
I'm Bertha Mitchell, the owner, and I really don't know how to defend my situation because I've just been a grandmother, and my grandson didn't have a place, so we put a tent and all the other stuff. It just appeared. I mean, I've talked to Travis about it. And we talked to my grandson, and right now I just told him, you know, it's nothing that I could do. So I say he's in God's hand and Telezone's hand. So all I need to know is when the decision is made, the money, I can't come up with it all at once, but if when it's moved, if there's a payment plan presented to me, I could work with that with your sympathy, please.
Any other comments?
So I talked to Travis earlier today about this property, and so you haven't found, I think he was saying you were looking for somebody that might clean it for you,
Yes.
but
and
no
I
luck
haven't
on that?
found anybody. There's a gentleman that's a friend of mine, and he's, you know, he was willing to come in and help. And I don't know how he was gonna do it, how he planned, but we could never get DeMario to sit down and talk with him.
Okay.
You know, and when I talk to Mario, he's unreasonable, so that's why I'm not gonna fight, you know, whatever, you know, I just look for sympathy on my part where the finances are concerned, because I would like to see it. I mean, the property it's been, I think I moved to Fort Smith in 2006. So I kept my taxes up, and at one time, I asked about, they changed the zoning law, so you couldn't put a mobile home there. I had a beautiful mobile home there, and I had a daycare. And, when I closed down, my mother passed away. I went to Chicago to take care of her, and in the meantime, I lost the place, so it was a voluntary repo. And so the next thing, when I talked to I forget the gentleman's name. He was sitting down with us. Yeah, I talked with him and, about building, and, but I was looking for something like don't exist anymore, like Jim Walters. You know, they take the land for collateral and they build you a home or whatever. So I haven't had any luck with that, so I'm just here with, South Mercy, you know, whatever, you know, but as far as it being, yeah, do what
Okay.
you have to do with that, 'cause, I mean, I tried to talk to him and he's not listening to Granny.
Well, ma'am, thank you for being here and thank you for doing what you're doing, and we appreciate your your help with this, and we appreciate you being here very, very much. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Any other comments? If not, I'll close the public hearing.
So just to, and Travis, correct me if I'm wrong, we would abate this, we would destroy this and remove it. This is not a, we're not moving this to another lot, we're not impounding the camper, it's beyond repair, and it would be
Cleaned off.
cleaned off and bulldozed. And the reason we're bringing this to you all is because it is being used as a residence. If it was just a camper on the piece of property, we could have done this without you all.
Right.
But it is a primary residence, and we wanted to make sure that you all had obviously input on that and the final vote.
Yeah. So the city's gonna, if the city, we abate this, the city's gonna go in and clean it up,
Yes, sir.
and then she gets the bill for that, since she owns the property?
And we
Will it go to her, not straight to
Correct.
taxes?
Keith, correct me if I'm wrong, usually the way the law is written, a property abatement, the property owner has 30 days once the bill is presented to pay. If that is not paid, then the certificate gets filed with the courthouse, which would become a special assessment on property taxes. Condemnations, however, for a full-on structure, there's a 6-month period in which the owner can pay the bill before it becomes filed with property taxes. I'm not 100% certain exactly how this one would go. Due to the fact, I mean, this could actually, in my opinion, could go either way.
We would push to work with Miss Bertha and give her the 6 months and
Absolutely.
do the
Well,
payment plan
yeah.
versus hitting her with the taxes.
Right, I mean, that's
sir.
my biggest issue, is I don't want her to lose this piece of property over trying to help her grandson. Because I met your grandson on Tuesday before Thanksgiving. I gave him a ride home. He was out at a church having dinner. So I got to visit with him, and, you know, he was very nice and polite to me, so, and, so I just hate for her to lose this property trying to help somebody.
I don't
Yeah.
think that's what any of us want, no.
You know, and that's my thing, I just don't want,
And in fact, in the past, and Keith, correct me if I'm wrong, we have, when a families are left with a family member issue, you know, hey, I've received this in inheritance, yay me, kind of situation, but I can't afford to pay for it. We've actually waived the abatement fees and the removal fees, so that's something that we can look at as well.
And Keith did just confirm it, this would be classified as a condemnation, which allows the 6-month time.
Yeah.
okay.
And even then, that 6-month time frame isn't 6 months before the lien is assessed. That's 6 months before that can be considered. And so
Once-
that's a determination that the city would make on whether or not that would be.
The way, my understanding, the way the law is written, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Pace, once the process has been completed,
Yeah.
now a certificate or of the notice of the lien is on file.
Yeah.
But the way the law is written, there is, once the process is completed, there's still a 6-month time frame. Using this scenario as an example that Ms. Mitchell would have, she would have 6 months to take care of this.
Huh.
Before the actual assessment is filed. And that's the minimum time frame. Now, if she requests longer and the city agrees,
Yeah.
I am more than happy to work with that.
Okay.
I don't have I've not had any issues with Ms. Mitchell. I've not had any issues with Demario, the grandson. He's not, other than what you saw in the pictures, that's the only issues that I've
Right.
had. And from the neighbors seeing and calling.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if we, if we have a motion to do condemnation other than that structure, that puts it in motion where that we can go ahead and clean it off and then we can give her the time that we need to give. City can do that.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we don't have to hold her big fire for any, I mean, we can give her the time she needs.
Well,
It's
and
not
just
a
looking
cost
at it,
effect-
and
and
you know,
it's
I know it's man hours and
It will be.
stuff like that, and
it's
that's very
not-
small, so,
It's
I mean, a couple hours,
it's not gonna cost us near what it cost us over on Iola to
Right.
get cleaned
To
up
do-
after
to do
that
a full
crack house.
structure, yeah.
So,
okay.
Couple hours.
I just don't want to lose their property.
60 bucks.
Motion, can you award
Call it.
Are we doing abate?
condemnation?
Condemnation.
So we need to change it in here? Because this says abate.
No, 15 says condemnation.
This is condemnation.
The direction is to, so,
Two motions. We can have a motion for public nuisance, then we can have a motion for condemnation.
Just all one.
We can do
yeah,
it
it's all
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, just word it all in one then.
So it's road on here as a public nuisance.
And I'm gonna
direct
close,
state.
I'm gonna close the public hearing first, and then now you can go ahead and do what you wanna do.
So on here, it's road, public nuisance, and direct staff to abate. Is
She
that
can
what we're
combine
wanting?
that in one motion, she said.
Okay. All right, so I'll declare case number 12-25-1C a public nuisance and direct staff to abate.
Second.
Mendiola,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Martin.
Thank you, yes. Ms. Mitchell, thank you for being here.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Okay, item 16, receive update on current and future projects. Is that Mr. Heverly, or who is that? Mr. Keith?
Miller.
Good evening. Crews are finalizing the punch list at the Aquatic Center. Of course, several items have already been completed. If you haven't been by, there's been several things that have taken place. It looks, it's shaping up even more. We also made arrangements for Les Walters and the Parks crew to go by, do some pre-training, I guess you would call it. There is a formal training that's going to take place on the operation of the pool. We went over some things earlier, though, that included winterization, shutting everything down, and just some basic operations until the formal training can take place. We hope that that is scheduled within the next few weeks, but right now the contractor's having trouble getting that scheduled with their trainer. Your water and sewer projects, lift station number 4, the generator was delivered today and set in place on its foundation. Wiring, they'd already made arrangements with the electrician, and they had already started wiring it today. They should finalize the hookups probably tomorrow. And then they'll schedule the startup with Generac Corporation to come in and do the official startup and firing of that generator. And then once that's done, that will complete lift station number 4. So the Drake sewer line has completed. We set the last manhole about a week ago. We finished testing. We have pulled the mandrels and done the light test and finished the vacuum testing of that system. The only thing we're waiting for is the as-builts from the contractor. Once we have those as-built from the contractor, basically that's the final requirement of any DEQ regulation that we have. And the new homes that are being built out there can connect to this system. On your future projects, we're looking at some items on actually the soccer field. It had some environmental questions that needed to be answered that were associated with the grants that are involved with that. George and the architect are working on those to try to get those completed so that we can get that out. The skate park, I can't remember what you said we were holding up on that. It's
So
just-
they're finalizing the design. They're going back and making sure their Ts are crossed and their Is are dotted before that goes out for bid. The hope is to get that out for bid before the end of the month.
Okay, the AMI project, we're looking at kicking that off around the 22nd of this month. They'll come in, work a few days, take off for the Christmas holiday, come back, work for a few days, take off for the New Year's holiday, and then they'll come in full force after January. And if calculations are correct, in probably 4 weeks or less, they will have all the AMI electric meters swapped out in the city. So the AMI water meters we're still going to work on that. We're going to schedule those for a later date for installation. And we'll get back with you once we've had a little more negotiations with that. Currently, we have a building set up for the AMI electric meters and the water meters. We've organized them by what they are so that the contractors can come in, and hopefully we'll go a little bit faster and more efficient than the original kickoff. So if you have any questions, be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Keith. Financial update, Ms. Robin?
So for the month of November, our sales tax was an increase from last November of 34,000. The sales tax amount was 675,000. The use tax was a decrease from last November of 15,000. It was 77,000 for the month of November. We're 5 months into our fiscal year, which is 42% of our current budget. General fund revenues are right at 45, and the expenses are at 38. The SMA revenues, taxes are at 42, telecoms at 43, sanitation, landfills at 43, electrics at 43, water and sewers at 49. The total overall with all the miscellaneous and stuff for SMA is 36, and the expenses is at 35. So everything is tacking along according to budget. And as the audit was presented tonight, you know, I do oversee the finance department, but I don't want to stand here and take credit for what my finance staff does. You know, whether I'm in the office or out of the office, they jump in if somebody's had a death in the family, which we've had some experience that over the last month. And everybody is so willing to, what can I do, you know, to help and assist. And if it wasn't for my team and my staff, you know, we would probably have more findings and, you know, the internal controls and everybody reaching out to help each other and make sure that everything is done correctly and accurately. And I want to really say a special thanks to all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How about administrator report, Mr. Edwards?
All right, sir. Of course, we've got the Christmas parade coming up at 6 p.m. on Saturday. 6 p.m. on Saturday. We did put out a notice. If you didn't see it or not, the chamber put out a notice. There won't be any live horses in the parade. It's due to a bug that's going around the community as far as horses are concerned. 25th and 26th are city holidays, so we will be open on Christmas Eve. We will be closed Christmas Day and the day after Christmas. January 1st is the New Year's holiday, and that we will also be closed on January 1st. The next board meeting is January 12th. As far as city manager reports, the Christmas tree lighting was a huge success. Thank yous go out to not only Commissioner Mendiola for championing the new tree, but my IT and Parks Department put that thing together, spent a lot of time programming it and making it perform the way we thought it was going to perform. The chamber and the school district and everybody else made that actual tree lighting event a huge success again this year. Just a personal thank you to everybody that made that happen. It's very pretty. It's on a 30-minute cycle. You go out there, and over those 30 minutes, it'll run through 2 different music accompanied shows, are about 5 to 6 minutes long, and then it'll change colors and change routines, if you will, for 15 minutes in between them, and then it'll repeat every half an hour. So if you're out there and you don't hear any music, it's not that it's not working, it's you came out and you're looking at it in between those 2 shows. As far as city projects, well, they took them all. And we've already talked about the sidewalk project was the other thing I was going to mention. But I do want to thank the finance crew. This audit, and they will not pat themselves on the back for this. This audit is the culmination of work that started last year preparing for the budget, the 25 budget. And then when you all pass the budget for 26 on July 1st, that work doesn't stop. That finance department now shifts and works this audit until the producing the packet that you all have seen tonight, and making sure the numbers match, making sure the numbers are right, and getting this not only all of the raw data into the auditors, but also making sure the auditors have access to everything and everyone that they need access to when it comes to everything that's got to be filled out. Every department has got to do their part, but the finance department stays and does the long, hard work getting through this. And like Robin mentioned or alluded to, they've been challenged a lot over the last 30, 45 days with manpower and staffing, given the unavoidable issues. So thank you from me to y'all, and hopefully reflective of the entire city of the work that you all have done. Gentlemen, pending any questions, that's all I have tonight.
Comments or questions?
I do have one alibi. We are doing traffic counts for the next week on Oak and Elm, and that is in preparation for restriping Oak and Elm parking spaces and making Oak and Elm one-way, depending on the parking, or excuse me, the traffic flow and the traffic counts. We'll know how much northbound traffic there is, how much northbound and southbound traffic there is on each road, and make them one-way accordingly before in conjunction with restriping. We're gonna make diagonal striping, diagonal parking spaces on one side of Oak Street. We'll keep the parallel parking on the other side of Oak Street. Oak Street is actually more narrow than Elm Street is. And on Elm Street, we'll do 2 sets of diagonal parking on each side of the road. And again, the direction of that parking will depend on the traffic study that we're doing right now. But that'll happen over the next 45, 60 days as we get this traffic study done. But that'll increase our downtown parking by at least 50%. Pending any questions, that's all I have, sir. Sorry.
Questions, comments? Motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moody,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Mendiola,
Yes.
Martins.
Yes. That's gonna take us directly into our SMA meeting. I'm gonna call that meeting to order, and declare that we do have a quorum. Possible action on minutes of regular meeting on November 10th, 2025.
Make a motion.
Second.
Mendiola,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Martins.
Yes. Item 4, discussion and possible action on staff's request to reinvest a Southall Municipal Authority certificate deposit with local bank for 245 days at 4.09% interest.
Make a motion.
Second.
Mendiola,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Martins.
Yes. Item 5, discussion and possible action on purchase order number 107395 in an amount not to exceed $50,000 issued to Calix for the purchase of Calix XGS PON ONTS for the telecommunications department.
Gentlemen, this is upgrade equipment that will allow Diamond Net to provide multi-gig speed. And it is coming out of this is not additional, this is coming out of their operational budget. That's about the limit of my technological expertise on this. All I know is we have the head-end equipment at the headquarters, if you will, and this is now individual boxes for individual accounts and individual homes to again offer that multi-gig speed. Did I miss anything? Clint?
And this money's already,
This money's already accounted for, already in their budget, yes, sir.
make a motion, we approve purchase order number 107395 in the amount not to exceed 50,000.
Second.
Mendiola,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Martins.
Yes. Item 6, discussion and possible action on a 1-year solid waste disposal agreement with Yaffee Iron and Metal Corporation of Arcoma, Oklahoma.
This is an annual agreement. It runs through actually tonight, if I'm not mistaken. And it reflects an increase for the fees that we charge them when we haul and then when they haul. It's a $1 increase over last year per ton.
Make a motion.
Second.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Mendiola,
Yes.
Martins.
Yes. Item 7, possible action to convene an executive session as authorized by Title 25 Oklahoma Statute 307B3 for discussion concerning the potential purchase of real property. Mr. Page, do you recommend we go into executive session?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Make a motion, we go into executive session.
Second.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Mendiola,
Yes.
Martins.
Mr. Pace, do you, suggest we reconvene?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Got a motion to reconvene?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Moody,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Indiola,
Yes.
Martins.
Yes. Item 9, possible action and direction pursuant to executive session regarding the purchase of real property.
Make a motion, we proceed as discussed in executive session.
Second.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Mendiola,
Yes.
Martins.
Yes. Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Moody,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Mendiola,
Yes.
Martins.
Yes. Thank you all for being here.